Capricorn season. Thanks for tuning in to the Embodied Astrology podcast. I'm Renee Sills. I'm a consulting astrologer, embodiment educator, and the creator of Embodied Astrology. If you enjoy my readings, make sure to order your 2025 Year Ahead Expanded Horoscope now. These 2-hour Embodied Astrology yearly forecasts for each sign go in depth with the most important transits, offering embodied suggestions for making the most of the opportunities and working skillfully with the challenges. You can order your 2025 reading by clicking the link below. If my work benefits you and you want to help me keep giving these monthly readings for free or help keep all of our offerings at EA financially accessible and sliding scale, please take a moment right now to like, follow, and subscribe to our channels. This is the #1 way you can help us grow. This season's horoscopes are intuitive offerings for each sign of the zodiac. I hope that they serve and support you in some way. Listen for your sun, moon, and rising signs. And remember that not everything is for everyone, so take what works, leave the rest, and make the meaning that's most meaningful for you. Thanks for being here. Onto your horoscope. Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to Capricorn season. As we move into Capricorn season, we are leaving Sagittarius season. We are moving into the place that follows you. So when we have your season, we are really thinking about you. We're thinking about your existence, your body, your identity. And then when we get into the second place, the place that follows you, we are thinking about what you need in order to sustain yourself. This is a season that is bringing emphasis into your needs, your desires, your values and value systems, the ways that you sustain yourself and build your energy, and what is important for you to possess. Now, my opinion is that the most important thing for you to possess is self-worth, self-love. And when I say that with a nod to everything that makes you you. And that means your ancestors, that means the land that you come from and the land that feeds you. That means the billions of microorganisms that create your body entirely. It means all of your relationships and the ways that you have learned to be you. So what sustains you in this particular moment, and as we move into Capricorn season, I think is a feeling of continuity and a feeling of embeddedness and interrelatedness and some kind of deep commitment or deepening commitment to all that you are and all that you are made of and all that you will become when your body ceases to be what it is right now. There's a lot of depth in this season, and as we enter into it, we are in the finishing cycle of a Mercury retrograde in your sign. Mercury stationed direct about a little under a week before Capricorn season begins on December 15th, and Mercury is in its shadow phase until January 2nd, and the shadow phase is the period of time when Mercury is traveling direct, or any planet is traveling direct over the area of the zodiac where its retrograde took it. And this period of time is often a time when what we were working with in the retrograde, so the plans that couldn't move forward and the ways that we needed to slow down and reflect and rework and do the RE prefix kind of thing, now starts to clarify, starts to open up. We learn the lessons of the retrograde. We understand more about why something didn't work out because maybe it was better that way, right? There's that saying, like, every rejection is protection sometimes. So this is a period of time as well where I think a lot of you are kind of sorting through, and there's some kind of feeling of like needing to know, or let me say, needing to update how you know who you are. And your values are really important right now. And so your values have to do with what you want to invest in. What do you want to see grow? What do you need and what is essential are obviously part of your values. or maybe not so obviously. A lot of us are totally unaware of needing to value what is actually completely essential. People are devastating the land, right? We cannot live without the land. So I take that back, what I said before, but this is a period of time where you really need to be focused on your values. And as you are kind of clarifying in this post-retrograde shadow some important conversations that need to be having, some ways that you are feeling about your life, about your relationships, about yourself, there is a kind of ongoing process of shifting and transformation when it comes to some really fundamental parts of your life. And these are parts that have to do with your home, with your family, and with your most important relationships. I think many of you are trying to navigate change. And what I was going to say is I think many of you are trying to grow something, but I think just as many of you are actually trying to transition out of something that has grown. So you know what it is for you, but there is a need to navigate change right now. And all endings are also beginnings. So where we're withdrawing from something, we're also approaching somewhere else. And in the ways that you are kind of focusing your attention, I really want to encourage you to think about this continuity of timeline. So where you're moving away leads you to somewhere else. And where is your focus right now? Are you focused on what you're moving away from? Are you really concentrated on what you don't want anymore? Or are you more focused on what you're trying to do and where you're going and what you do want? And if you perceive that there is more focus in one way or the other, I would encourage you to really try and hold both and to be curious about the ways that one informs the other. Often when we're really focused on one end or the other of that kind of perceived polarity, we're not so conscious of the fact that trajectories happen in patterns. And so this happens to a lot of people, right? Where they have some kind of experience of they need to leave a relationship and they leave in a really urgent, dramatic kind of way, only to find themselves in a new relationship that's basically the same. And that can happen relationships with people, that can happen with work contexts, it can happen in all kinds of patterns in our lives where we feel a lot of aversion or recoil or done with something, and then we don't actually spend so much time feeling into, sensing into what is the pattern that's here and how do I shift it. We're more focused on ending and beginning and seeing what is old and what is new in a false binary. So if you are trying to start something new, or if you're trying to leave something behind, this is a good time for you to be where you are and to broaden your perspective and really try to get curious about what's happening. What is the bigger picture right now? And I would emphasize this especially in relationships and communication issues and home and family circumstances, and also in your career and your work, as well as, I'm going to say in general, as a perspective for the world right now and whatever it is that you are tuned in and clued in with what is happening. So that's a lot of places, right? That's basically everywhere. And as you hold this perspective, meditate on what is most important to you. What are your values? What do you want to feed? What are you trying to grow? What are you trying to nourish? What do you want to sustain? What needs attention and tending in order for the patterns that you're working with to grow in the ways that you are hoping that they are going to grow? And that includes changing and ending, as well as adapting and evolving and expanding and beautifying and improving and all of those things. In the first week of Capricorn season, we have the second exact transit of Jupiter, your ruling planet, squaring Saturn. This has happened one time before, August 19th, and it will happen again in June of 2025. And this square is part of a longer process that started back in 2020. And I talked about this in the overview for Sagittarius and Capricorn season. All endings are beginnings, so if you want more information, you can listen there. I'll also talk a lot about this in your 2025 year ahead report, so definitely listen there for a more personalized take. But what I'm going to say right now is that the last 4 years or so have been enormously transformative in the world. I don't need to give you the list of how. You know how. You've been tracking what you're tracking, and clearly there's a lot that's shifting since the time of the beginning of the pandemic, if you want to think about it like that. Now, what is shifting is creating a kind of growth or mobilization of consciousness that is in a particular kind of crisis point right now. A lot of us are really aware of long-standing systemic problems, and many of us are struggling to figure out how to change inside of problems that are bigger than us. These are problems that are generations deep, if not actual millennia deep. These are problems that are ideological and institutional and environmental, and then they become personal problems and interpersonal problems. This is also a time when there is a ton of information circulating. And a lot of information that people are getting is information that has been intentionally manipulated to produce emotional reactions and activation, or it's been intentionally formulated to be chaotic. A lot of information is completely biased. It is not complete. And there are many, 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 many perspectives that we definitely want to take into consideration if we're trying to navigate really big complexities. And I think that a lot of you are working with this in some way that feels intensely personal at the moment. And so you might be a person who is directly trying to work with the collective situation. You might be somebody who has medicine for this time. Whether or not you feel yourself to be a leader or a medicine person at this time, you are affected by the time. And everybody that you're in relationship with is affected by the time. And so along with holding a big arc of time right now, I would also encourage you to really hold a big arc for all of the things that are happening and all of the ways that we, and the we here is for you to fill out, we are affected, we are impacted, we are kind of swimming through these times of chaos and unknown. And you need to be present with that right now, somehow. And I don't know what that means for you personally, but the more that you can hold whatever is coming up personally in these larger perspectives, especially when you are doing the work of relationship, especially when you are doing the work of relating across difference, especially when you are trying to navigate conflict, especially if you have anything to do with land or resources or money, if you are dealing with the kind of material aspects that are so impacted and influenced by the times, you want to build a big perspective for yourself. And you need to be having a lot of different kinds of conversations. And Capricorn season, particularly the first half of Capricorn season, is a really powerful time for you to be having conversations with people, especially lots of different kinds of people. This is a really powerful time for you to be diversifying your information streams. Do not only get your news from one kind of outlet. Get curious about what people are thinking and talking about in all kinds of different spaces, especially people who you disagree with or who you feel like you're in active conflict with. Try and understand to some extent their perspective. Not only will it help you in any kind of healing potential in the relationship, it'll also help you advocate for your own position more. And it may change your position somewhat. Having more capacity for empathy and awareness of what other people are going through leads us to be able to speak to their values, right? And their interests. And a lot of times there's so much more crossover than we are perceiving if we're only paying attention to our differences. And again, this is part of why I'm saying have conversations, diversify your information streams. There are so many different people and different media outlets right now that are really, really focused on othering and making, big stories about particular people and groups of people and ideas and stuff like that. But Sagittarius, you are a sign of wisdom. And wisdom needs perspective. It needs vastness. It needs diversity. It needs travel. It needs to speak multiple languages. And these are the things that your sign is naturally inclined to. And your sign can naturally be inclined towards fundamentalism and arrogance and thinking that you have the whole answer. So just don't do that. Get curious right now. Your curiosity is the path forward. Okay, the first week of the new year is a fiery week. This is a week that is about big, bold expression. This is a week where people's inner warriors are getting activated. And however that looks in the collective landscape, I don't know. I have my own imaginations about it, but how it looks in your chart is profoundly creative and really boldly expressive. And this is definitely a period of time when a lot of you are ready to charge out of the gates and make some kind of big reveal. Some of you are working on projects that feel so exciting. They feel really bold. I keep using that word, but that's the feeling that I have. A lot of you, you see a path and you want to move full steam ahead on that path. And this is a very powerful time for initiation and beginning new things. But I will also remind you that Mars is retrograde, and Mars is going to be a big part of the kind of fiery astrological dynamics in the first week of January. And Mars is in its retrograde until the end of February, but it doesn't actually finish its whole shadow period until the beginning of May. And there are a bunch of things happening next March and April that have to do with what's happening now. So all that to say, if you are feeling like you want to charge out of the gates, I'm just going to be your friendly reminder to make sure to keep the gate open in case you have to go back. This is a great time for soft openings. This is a great time for initiating new beginnings in quiet ways where you might be, let's say you're doing something and you're not ready to make it public yet, but you need to let some people know so that you can plan and prepare for what's going to start to happen next. Later in 2025. That's a great use of this energy. You don't want to do things right now that you can't take back. And that's actually really important. So check your energy, check your impulses. If you have an impulse to do something that could have a really drastic, dramatic effect, obviously some circumstances need you to do it. If it's a matter of life and death, do what you need to do. But cultivation of discernment is really important right now, especially for the fire signs. Is it actually dangerous, or do you just feel uncomfortable? Is it actually, this is the moment where you have to act, or do you need to gain support? Be discerning with your energy. There's a lot of energy as we move into the new year, but this energy quickly shifts. And as we get deeper into January, there is more and more emphasis, especially in your chart, on needing to come in and be private and hold something for a while. There might be something that you actually need to finish before you start whatever is next. There may be endings and losses that need to be mourned and grieved and processed before people have the energy for what's next. You might need some kind of counsel, and this could be tuning in with your own spirit. This could be getting guidance, particularly getting guidance that feels like it's deep guidance, therapeutic guidance, astrological guidance, mystical guidance, ancestral guidance, guidance from the earth. I think that a lot of you, we start the new year and it's like you have this big fire energy, and then the rains come. And you need to come back. You need to come home. You need to tune in with yourself. There is some depth that is being asked for. And this increases as we get to the full moon on January 12th and 13th. This is a full moon in Cancer. And this full moon is really asking you for depth. It is asking you for presence. It's asking you for emotional and psychological attunement. This is a full moon that is also really needing you to look at where your energy gets mixed with other people's energy, where your resources blend with other people's resources. And so last time to come back to this place of growth in your relationships and personal path and what's opening up in front of you and your values, this full moon really wants you to look at where all that stuff gets kind of entangled and entwined with all of other people's stuff of the same kind. This is a time to be intimate and to be vulnerable and to work on trust. And the more that you are able to give those kinds of needs attention, the stronger your creative capacities and expressive energy and new ideas and future plans are going to be. And as I mentioned, as we get into 2025, March, April, and May, wow, you have a lot of energy coming forward. There is so much readiness in your chart to make big, bold, brave new strides. And right now is a time of informing that, of bringing depth to that, and psychologically preparing you for what that might include. So please take the time for it. Don't feel dismayed if you've had some kind of big plans that just aren't ready to happen yet. It's better that you get quiet first so that you can get loud later. Okay? Hope any or all of that is helpful for you, Sagittarius. I'm wishing you all the best in Capricorn season and beyond. Bye for now. Thanks so much for listening to your Capricorn season reading. If this horoscope resonated for you, please show your support by liking, following, and subscribing, and by sharing this work with your friends and community. And if you want more, don't forget to order your 2025 year ahead reading, where I go in depth with the big picture and main themes of this year for your sun, moon, and rising signs. This season, I hope you'll join me for Somatic Space, which is a class I offer every Monday where we prepare ourselves to work with the astrology of the week ahead through gentle healing body practices, breathwork, meditation, and visualization. You can drop in once to try it out, or if you become a member, you'll also get access to the past classes video archive, as well as Tea Time, which is a monthly meetup and conversation space where we learn and share how astrology is moving through our lives. You can find more information about working with me and other Embodied Astrology events in the show notes or through the study section at embodiedastrology.com. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for listening and engaging. I truly hope to see you in an Embodied Astrology space soon. Bye for now.